What's up, guys? Zaid here with my boy Andrei, who got second last week with the spiciest deck I think I've seen in a while. What do you even call it?
Bestial branded Synchro.
All right, you want to go straight into it, or you got shout outs or anything? Anything you want to say?
I'll just go into it.
All right, sick. Let's see it.
All right, so first we got the, it's kind of a two-axis deck. We got the Bestial package. So I got 3 Lubellians, 3 Mags, 2 Druis Worms, 2 Serenir, 1 Baldrake, and then Regain the Beast. So these are kind of, they're your big bodies, level 6s. They're interruptions in a lot of matchups, but we're really just playing them as part of the engine. So our goal is to see them, preferably a Magnamut or a Lubellian, and then use them for synchro plays.
How often or how well does Baldrake perform for you? Is that card often being an interruption on field too, or is it just like a body most of the time?
Usually it's a body. I usually side deck it out. It does have, there's like some rare utility with it, and like if I already have access to Druis Worm, I'll search it. So it's good to have as a one-of, but it comes out in the side deck, into the side deck for a lot of matchups. So that's why it's the only one-of.
Yeah, it also seems like it's probably the weakest one going second.
Yeah, it's pretty much just a body. So you play it just so, or I play it just so that I have like another name. So I draw multiples, but these other 4 are significantly better overall. Then after that, we got the branded package. So I play 1 branded in red, the Retribution. Then I play triple High Spirits, the 1 Mercurier, the 1 Albion, double Albas, triple Cartesia, and triple Quem.
With this, are you most often just sending a dragon to dump Albion, or does it come up a lot to do other things?
So usually it's going to be a dragon. Ideally, you open either Albas or Albion, and then I do play a target for Mercurier, and I also play a target for another card that'll come up, the machine target. But generally speaking, you're sending one of the dragons or the winged beast to get usually Quem, but sometimes Cartesia, depending on
just whatever the hand is missing, basically.
Yeah, and this, what I really like about this card is it can be used in the draw phase to play around Droll, or it can actually be chained to Droll. So like if you open with Lubellian, you start with Lubellian, they go Droll, you chain this to Droll, and now you have your level 6 and your level 4 tuners.
That's nice.
Yeah, and that's why I play 3 and 3 of the girls, because they're level 4 tuners, light tuners, so they work with Chaos Angel.
It's so weird because they're level 4 tuners that you actually get to use them for synchros.
Yeah, it's and what you'll notice about this deck is you can go into synchro and fusion plays, so it's a real big advantage that they're tuners as well as lights and darks. Quem's your better starter because you normal summon her, you send the Mercurier, get a search off of Bestial, or you can send the Albas and get a free special off the Quem. But these 2 represent 3 tuners in and of themselves, because her, and she gets her back when you use her for a play. So it's they work really well with the Bestial engine, especially being level 4s and with Synchro 10s being, on top right now.
Does it ever come up for 12? Is there like a level 12 you can make with this and this?
Yes, the 12s do come up. There was a time I was labbing with the Crimson Dragon, but going into level 12s is a little more niche. There's definitely situations where it works, but almost always you're going for a 10. So that's the... Then we have the last monster, Triple Assault Synchron. So I played 3 because it's really good to get this into rotation. This card combos really well with Branded in red and Bystial Dispatter. So it's a card I want to get into the grave, but originally I was playing 2 and 2 tunings, but I was finding that I don't want to draw multiple copies of it. I really only want to get the 1 or get it into the grave. So the nice thing is I do play a target for the High Spirits, but just having this card, access to this card, really extends the ceilings of your plays.
Would you ever play like 2 of this in 1 tuning? That way you can like tuning for 1 and then you have a lower probability of drawing into the last and you could still get lucky off the mill maybe?
Not really, because what I found is this deck doesn't like having, the spells are kind of the weakest part of the deck. And realistically speaking, like I'm going to be working off a level 4 and level 6 axis. So the other problem is that mill isn't give you a lot of value. You don't really want these cards. You want them to go to the grave as they're being used, but there's a lot of bad mills in the deck that don't really benefit you. So I was finding that with tuning, I was breaking on the Synchrons, but without it, if I draw it, it's great. If I don't draw it, it's whatever.
Yeah, I see.
And this deck has quite a bit of draw power. So you have the Albion, and then you have you have the Regain, and I play a Garura in the extra that you can use to draw up to 3 cards in that first turn, depending how well your plays go out. So that's the, I guess, the main engine. Then for non-engine, I play triple super poly.
Flexing with these too. How much are these?
They were 60 a piece when I picked them up.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, it's the best board breaker in the game by far. Unrespondable, gives you a monster. Everybody hates it. So you get those salty tears.
The monster you can probably combo it too, because like you said, you play Garura at least. So if you take theirs, make a Garura, now you have a level 6 body that floats and you synchro with it.
Yeah, there's a lot of value, and with the new Synchron decks ending on Dispatter and Baron, you now have Draco Acquist too, which gives you so much value. So the monsters you bring out give you value, and the fact that you clear the board while doing it is just so much. It's just very helpful. On top of the fact that I play the 1 of Albaz, or the 2 of Albaz. So if I set this, that's a Mirror Jade right there, and that'll break almost any board.
Eat away any extra deck card plus a Mirror Jade, which then needs another card and gives you follow-up.
Right, yeah. So, and oftentimes you search a Branded in red in the end phase that represents a Chimera and a Mirror Jade. So it's giving you a lot of interruption off of, drawing what you could think of as a break. And then there's just so many boards in this format that a Super Poly just cracks.
Handles. Yeah, that's so sick.
And then for the ones that the Super Poly doesn't crack, Triple Book of Moon. So this card was its MVP against Pearly. If you draw 1, they only get to draw 2, and then you stop their plays from then on. And 2 hand traps, the hand traps can be kind of difficult to deal with, but usually this deck can push through quite a bit of interruption. And if you draw 2, then Pearly ain't getting anything. So it's useful in Kashtira too, flipping that Arise Heart, because you do want your grave.
Yeah, that way you can actually play the game and not lose all your cards.
So it's a pretty good going first, going second. Just set it if you draw it going first. So the card did what it was supposed to do last week, and I'm hoping it'll do the same this week. And then the last of the non-engine is the 1 Gold Sark, 1 Foolish, and 1 Called By. So a lot of times you need like certain cards in the grave, so the Foolish can be really helpful with that. The Gold Sark is for the Mercurier. It's just another way to get to one of the girls or any of the Albaz pieces that you're missing. So, it's limited to 1. It does its job. And then Called By, just because I have a 40th slot.
Is this deck 40 flat? Or
it's
is it
40
over?
flat.
Sick.
Yeah. I've cut a lot to keep it at 40.
What's like the 41st, 42nd card? What cards did you have to cut to make it fit?
The tunings were the first to go. I've also thought about like a 3rd Albaz or just even more Bestials, like upping these to 3. But I think, honestly, there's no need to. I'm playing enough that I'm bound to see one, and if I don't see one, I'm hopefully seeing something else.
Something else that'll let you play. Yeah, you play what, 11? 3, 6, 9, 11?
Yeah. So the goal of this deck is really just it's not a 1-card combo deck, so you really need to see multiple pieces to really do stuff. There's a lot of 2-card combos, but I want to maximize those odds and just really cut out any breaks. Like, I only really play 1 break, and even then it's at the very least, it has utility being set.
Yeah, it's actually a strong trap sometimes.
Yeah, and there's been games against, Branded especially, where just setting this just stops their plays because they're going to play into it eventually. So that's the main deck. And then for the extra deck, so the Super Poly targets, you got the Mud Dragon, the Garura, and the Dragon Knight Draco Acquist. Real MVP against the...
What level is he, 10?
Level 10, yeah. So he doesn't come up for Synchro plays because the level 12 I play requires a level 4 tuner. But the fact that it takes a Dragon type Synchro and a Warrior, and then can steal that dragon type Synchros effect is just too much value.
And it's huge, so like you could take 2 guys and then punch a third, and it's
Yeah.
like, cool, nice board you had.
Well, if you super poly the Manadium board, which puts up the Dispatter and the Barone, this represents 6,700 damage by bringing back, because what you do is you banish the Dispatter to copy its effect, and then you bring back that Dispatter.
Oh,
and you get to keep it. Yeah, so it's
that's insane.
Yeah, this card is just it's a card your opponent has to deal with, so it eats up 2 interruptions, and it'll probably eat up a third, because if they let this resolve, now you have a monster negate available. So it's something that
That's really good. What the heck?
yeah, no, this card it just needed the format to make it good. So I've only gotten to drop this once against Manadium, and it pretty much won the game because they had the Appaloosa up, and so I could chain my Bestials to its effect. Since she's once per chain, it allowed me to resolve the Bestials. They had to negate this card, and so now I'm able to play after clearing the board. Then for the branded cards, I play 1 Grand Gugneel, double Albion, 1 Mirror Jade, 1 Rimbrum, and 1 Sprint.
You know you like the deck when you can actually pronounce this card's name.
Yeah.
And is this just as a machine target, or does it come up in other situations
So
too?
these 4 are going to be your targets for branded and high spirits. You want to keep an Albion so you can get value off that Mirror Jade send. But all of these are live off of Mirror Jade. This is also a super poly target. So in a lot of board states, you'll end up with both of these already used up. So you can use the Rimbrum to bring back an Albaz and then fuse away a monster that was special summoned. So this is your win con against the Pearly deck. And having this card available against them is really helpful because you can. I don't play the Lubellian, so the Dark Pearly isn't a target unless I have this on deck and they special summon it.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so it does sometimes get summoned, but primarily it's there in case I draw multiples of the Assault Synchron or I need to pitch it off of the High Spirits. And then this is almost exclusively to get the Mercurier engraved.
Can you super poly the Noir when it's unaffected or no?
No, you can't.
You have to try to bait some interruptions from them?
Yeah, and which a lot of times just having that super poly, like if they've seen it before, sometimes the Pearly players may avoid like sending stuff off just so that you can't super poly them. So having this just makes it's just got a lot of utility. But generally speaking, these are there for their grave effect, and this is the one that gets summoned out the most. Same with the Grand Gugneel. During most mainline plays, I try to go into her. It's a level 8, so I can go into a 10 with the Assault Synchron if I need to. And a lot of times, the final board, you'll end on doubles level 10s in this girl. And what you do is you pop her so that you have an interruption in case you get hit with Dark Ruler.
Yeah, you were telling me about that last week. I thought that was sauce because you play the Lulu, right? The Synchro that you can summon off this?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
and so if you get hit with Dark Ruler and that's on field, it's dead. If you pop it with the Baron and put it in the grave, now it's a grave interruption.
Oh, that's really smart. I like that a lot.
Yeah, so this card, I wish I could fit 2 in, but I've yet to find what I want to cut. The deck's kind of tight, and
you don't play Lubellion, so it's hard to you don't get to like loop these things back.
Yeah, the problem with the Lubellion is it also fusion locks you.
Yeah.
And having to discard one sometimes is a tall ask out of your hand. Like there's better things you can do with that discard. Then the last fusion is the one of Guardian Chimera. So against some decks, you rather go into this to pop some cards, draw some cards. So these two just make your branded and red a lot better.
This card's nuts too in matchups where the Bestials are like actually interruptions. Like if you played Tier or something, I guess, because then you can like draw into Bestials and then Bestial them too.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of value. But what you'll find a lot of times is when you're going into this, your opponent doesn't really have any like. Usually they've already used up your other interruptions. So they're kind of grasping at straws, and this will just go in and kind of
Clean it up.
Yeah. So like against Scareclaw, the key is to like keep them off monsters. So sometimes you'll use this to clear a monster, the Baron to clear a monster, and then you use this to clear the rest of the board, and they're just done playing.
It's like, yeah, good luck trying to play through this, my friend.
Yeah. So that's kind of the fusion engine, or the fusion cards. Then for the Synchros, I play the 1 Excel Synchron. So if you draw Assault Synchron plus Bestial, you go into this. It's just there for that, really. It does have some like good utility when using it with XLs, with the Assault Synchron. And it's nice because it's a dragon, so you can go into this pattern with it. But it's kind of mid utility. It's really just there for those awkward hands. And also you play, if you draw an Albaz, normal Albaz, special de Cartesia, you can go into a Synchro 8 if you need to. That can come up sometimes. But then the real stars of the show, the Synchro 10s, the 1 Chaos Angel, 1 Barone, and the 1 Dispatter. So these two are going to be like your main end board. If you can get to these two, you're usually pretty set.
Is there a certain matchup you're making this instead of one of these, or like what's the reasoning to even play it if these are your main ones?
So against Pearly, sometimes you get into simplified board states where having something that's unaffected by monster effects just kills their board because it's too big to beat over, and 90% of their interaction is going to be monster based. There's Book of Moons and like imperms, but a lot of times just stopping that, keeping the cats from doing stuff to your monsters is enough.
And you're probably making it with one of these two synchros. So like if you're making it with a bear and you have the out to the book or the imperm.
Yeah, there's quite a few board states where you end up on this, where you could have gone into this instead. So like against Super Heavy Samurai, putting these three out is, they need exactly a Kaiju or Lava Golem to out your board. All their interactions are monster based. But most often you have enough gas to go into these three, and this is the better play. You then pop her. So this comes up occasionally. It's a very powerful Synchro 10, but I could see myself cutting it for that second Grand Gugniel if I needed to. So usually it's there. It's also like helpful to have. Sometimes you just need that big, hard to deal with Synchro 10. Then the last card is the Synchro 12, the Lulu Lilith.
Do you ever hard synchro this card, or is it just to summon off of Grand Ganol?
Very rarely do I hard synchro her, because usually if I have the materials for her, I have the materials for the Grand Gugniel, and it is better value to just special it. But I have hard made her. Sometimes all you have is that Lubellion up, and having that Synchro 12 is just really useful. And honestly, this card sometimes feels a little bit win more though. So just because it when you do the way it interacts with your opponent's board is really weird. Your opponent has to go into the extra deck, or you need to have a way to trigger it easily, like
Mirror Jade or Branded in red.
Right, or Branded in High Spirits or something like that. So triggering her can be a little difficult.
She floats though, which is cool. Gives you resources later as well.
Yeah, and that's sometimes that extra attack value she adds onto cards can help them stick. But I have thought of cutting this just for the Despian Quiritus, which might be a little better value. But having the Synchro 12 doesn't hurt. It's this deck I'm still labbing with it. So yeah, that's the Synchro lineup.
Now all we got left is side deck, right?
Yeah, and just to go through that real quick, so we got do it in a bit of an order. So I got the triple thrust, triple thrust, best going second card ever printed. I don't know why they thought this card was a good idea, but search any spell or trap in the deck is any normal spell trap is broken. So then the targets, I play the 1 Herald of the Abyss, the 1 Triple Tactics, and I play 1 Evenly Matched. This card's starting to be less good just because the boards have more Omni Negates, or Pearly just doesn't care about it. But being able to search it is still a lot of value.
No Dark Ruler?
No Dark Ruler. Because usually if I can Dark Ruler the board, I can Super Poly the board.
That's fair.
And I'd rather just put some damage on board. Honestly, the only real card I'm trying to search is going to be this Herald against Pearly, or if I got hand trapped, sometimes this comes up. And then it's also a good going first card, and I play some nasty targets for it.
Oh, jeez. So
the triple Eradicator, triple D-Barrier. This is good against Pearly, it's good against Branded, it's good against Vanadium. And this card is just good against
basically everything.
Yeah,
that deck eats,
Kashtira.
or that card eats.
Yeah, trap cards, Runic. So the nice thing is, because you play Bestials, this plus a Bestial will usually be enough. You can set it up on your opponent's turn if you need to. And then this card is obviously very good, and they're both targets for the thrust, so you can play like a 2-3. Because it's not that good to search. Won't always get to search it, but if you do get to search it, this can win you the game. And then I play a 1 of Kaiju, So I still think I wanted something that can deal with the Pearly before they get all the advantage, which is why I prefer the Book of Moons. But I did want to play some other stuff just in case.
Why do you prefer this one over like the dark one?
So originally I was playing the Santa Claus because I liked its level. I liked its the fact that it was a light. The problem with the dark one is it's a level 7, so if you don't kill Castira with it, they can use it.
Yeah, they just get an extender.
Yeah, and honestly, I'd rather it be something I can run over this with a Bestial. I can't run over the dark one with a Bestial.
I think that's the only one. That and the level 7 Earth are the only ones you could run over with a Bestial, and this one just level 8. So
yeah, so its stats aren't that good for the opponent. It's a 1-of, so if I draw it, it's good. And then if I put it on my opponent's board, Bestial just clears it. So that's really the only reason, but. I still think it's like they're not the best cards. They're not good going first at all. So it's just good to as a 1-of. You know, if I draw it, that's awesome. If not, it's whatever. And then the last two is the 2 Cosmic Cyclones.
Shout out back row decks.
Yeah, this deck still loses to. It's still a branded deck, so it loses to Grave of the Super Ancient Organism. You have a bit more of a native out with the branded beast. So this will give you a lot of value in dealing with back row decks and their floodgates.
Oh, that's true. That card's insane against back row decks.
Yeah, but a lot of times you'll have trouble getting to it. So this can be this card can be really good just to kind of clear that back row first.
Yeah, the initial turn that you need to set this up, you can use this to try to get through, and then when you set that up, you're not really losing to those decks from there.
Right.
Especially if you get the spell too, then you're just going to out advantage a lot of the trap decks.
Yeah, the one problem is with the beast too is a lot of decks can deal with back row destruction. So the Cosmic Cyclone just comes in handy to being able to banish instead of popping. So that comes up. So that's the deck.
Sick. Well, thank you for the profile. I hope you do well with it today too.
Oh, thank you.
See you.